The Leatherman, ca. 1839–1889, was a particular vagabond, famous for his handmade leather suit of clothes, who traveled a circuit between the Connecticut River and the Hudson River, roughly from 1857 to 1889. Of unknown origin, he was thought to be French-Canadian, because of his fluency in the French language, his broken English, and the French language prayer book found on his person after his death. His identity remains unknown, and controversial. He walked a 365-mile route year after year. His repeating route took him to certain towns in western Connecticut and eastern New York, returning to each town every 34–36 days. Life. Living in rock shelters and Leatherman caves, as they are now locally known, he stopped at towns along his 365-mile loop about every 5 weeks for food and supplies. He was dubbed the Leatherman as his adornment of hat, scarf, clothes, and shoes were handmade leather. Fluent in French, he communicated mostly with grunts and gestures, rarely using his broken English. When asked about his background, he would abruptly end the conversation. Upon his death, a French prayer book was found among his possessions. He declined meat on Fridays, giving rise to speculation that he was Roman Catholic. It is unknown how he earned money. One store kept a record of an order: 1 loaf of bread, a can of sardines, 1 pound of fancy crackers, a pie, 2 quarts of coffee, 1 gill of brandy and a bottle of beer. Leatherman was popular in Connecticut. He was reliable in his rounds, and people would have food ready for him, which he often ate on their doorsteps. 10 towns along the Leatherman's route passed ordinances exempting him from the state tramp law passed in 1879. Health. The Leatherman survived blizzards and other foul weather by heating his rock shelters with fire. Indeed, while his face was reported to be frostbitten at times during the winter, by the time of his death he had not lost any fingers, unlike other tramps of the time and area. The Connecticut Humane Society had him arrested and hospitalized in 1888, which resulted in a diagnosis of sane except for an emotional affliction and release, as he had money and desired freedom. His ultimate demise was from cancer of the mouth due to tobacco use. His body was found on March 24, 1889 in his Sawmill Woods cave on the farm of George Dell in the town of Mount Pleasant, New York near Ossining, New York. Grave. His grave is in the Sparta Cemetery, Route 9, Ossining, New York. The following inscription was carved on his original tombstone. Final resting place of Jules Bourglet of Lyons, France. The Leather Man, who regularly walked a 365-mile route through Westchester and Connecticut from the Connecticut River to the Hudson, living in caves in the years 1858–1889. His grave was moved further from Route 9. When the first grave was dug up, no traces were found of the Leatherman's remains, only some nails, which were reburied in a new pine box, along with dirt from the old grave site. Nicholas Bellantoni, a University of Connecticut archaeologist and the supervisor of the excavation, cited time, the effect of traffic over the shallow original grave site, and possible removal of graveside material by a road grading project for the complete destruction of hard and soft tissue in the grave. The new tombstone, installed May 25, 2011, simply reads, The Leatherman. Identity controversy. The Leatherman's former tombstone read, Final resting place of Jules Bourglet of Lyons, France, the Leather Man, and he is identified with that name in many accounts. However, according to researchers, including Dan W. DeLuca, and his New York death certificate, his identity remains unknown. This name first appeared in a story published in the Waterbury Daily American, August 16, 1884, but was later retracted March 25, 26 and 27, 1889 and also in the Meriden Daily Journal, March 29, 1889. De Luca was able to get a new headstone installed, when the Leatherman's grave was moved away from Route 9 to another location within the cemetery on May 25, 2011. The new brass plaque simply reads The Leatherman. Exhumation and reburial. The Leatherman's original grave in Sparta Cemetery was within 16 feet of Route 9. His remains were exhumed and were reburied at a different site in the cemetery on May 25, 2011. No visible remains were recovered during the exhumation. Rather, coffin nails and soil recovered from the original burial plot were reburied at the new site. Part of the reason for the exhumation process was to test his remains to determine his origins. He had been rumored to be of French descent, but there were several conflicting reports. Towns visited. His circuit took in the following towns: Brewster, North Salem, Ridgefield, Branchville, Georgetown, Reading, Danbury, Woodbury, Watertown, Thomaston, Terryville, Bridgewater, Waterbury, Bristol, Forestville, New Britain, Berlin, Old Saybrook, Guilford, Brantford, East Haven, New Haven, Stratford, Bridgeport, Trumbull, Norwalk, New Canaan, Stamford, Greenwich, White Plains, Armonk, Chappaqua, Ossining, Mount Kisco, Bedford Hills, Pound Ridge, Yorktown, Peekskill, Somers, Derby, Woodbridge, Naugatuck, Hampden, Southington, Burlington, Middletown, Meriden, Portland, Wilton. Geocaching and letterboxing. Many of the locations on Leatherman's route in Connecticut and New York have geocaches as well as letterboxes near them. Popular media. Leatherman inspired a song by Pearl Jam, Leatherman. It was a B-side of the single Given to Fly, from the 1998 album Yield. 1965 WTIC TV program Perception. Dick Bertel interviews Mark Haber about the Leatherman Ref. Leatherman was the subject of a 1984 video documentary which was shown on Connecticut Public Television. It can be found on YouTube. A New England leather man is mentioned in the song Menit Mies by the Finnish musician J. Karjalainen. Leatherman inspired a song by NYC duo Ghost Simpson on their debut EP, 2015, which reimagines him as a Zdohak, a figure from Balkan folklore said to prevent severe weather.
Please subscribe and thanks for watching.